Bigger than capes.
Give me some of that silence.
Yeah, I was looking forward to it, and then I watched it.
Right. Hello and welcome to Bigger Than Capes. My name is Will Holden and I am joined today by Matt, and we are here to talk about, well, is it Spy X Family?
Spy Family?
Cross Family? Spy Family?
Because I've said it before, but it's like, I know that Hunter x Hunter, the X is silent. But
as X's should be.
Is this Spy Cross Family? Is this like Spy multiplied by family?
For now, I'm going to stick to Spy X Family as my go-to terminology.
Spike's Family.
Yeah, Spike's Family.
It's a manga from Jump Plus, Shonen Jump's like digital first line. I think it was their first major success with it. Like they'd had some. Yeah, I think this was the first major success. There's been some other very interesting stuff on it. It allows them to kind of push the envelope and explore some things that they otherwise kind of can't in regular sort of weekly Jump.
Yeah,
it's allowing for some really interesting things, and Spy X Family is definitely one of them.
Mm-hmm.
It comes to us from creator Tatsuya Endo. I've looked into them in a little bit to try and find out more. Like I've seen that he did some previous manga. Like there was a 2-volume series that he did called Tista in like the late 2000s, but
not too much fanfare.
Yeah. It was like a 2-volume series before cancellation, and then like odd bits since then. It seems like Spy X Family is like his first major success.
Mm-hmm. Probably worth noting that the version that we have read was translated by Casey Lowe with lettering by Rena Mapper as well, who seems to be consistent throughout everything I've read.
Yeah. So shall we explain what Spy X Family is? I mean, I know it's like one of the most popular anime on the internet these days, given an absolutely stellar first season. It was good enough that I was using it weekly for whilst it was airing for date night.
Yeah.
Every week.
But I think my punt at it would be in a fictionalized Berlin, sort of post-World War II.
Sorry, Berlin? What's Berlin?
Or Berlint.
Ah, there we go.
As it exists in this world. We follow a spy from the West, or Westerlis, as it is imaginatively named, who is trying to stop a plan to incite war between East and West. But the only way to stop this plan is to infiltrate a very rich and powerful recluse.
Yeah, get into his social circle.
Into his social circle, yeah.
And he only comes out at school events for like the most exclusive, prestigious academy in the country.
So in order to do this, our intrepid spy must create a false family and goes about first adopting a daughter, of course, to enter into this school. And then shortly finds that he must also procure himself a wife for his family.
Yeah, it's their adventures and misadventures attempting to initially get into this school and then stay in this school.
Yeah.
And avoid being kind of detected by various agencies and individuals who would have a problem with a spy, an assassin, and want to perhaps reclaim a telepathic child.
Well, that's exactly it. It's every member of the family has their secret.
Yes.
The Twilight, our intrepid spy,
Lloyd Forger,
which is a great name for a spy.
Yes.
is of course a spy for the other side, as they live in Osteria.
Yep. And he is your kind of classic, the world's greatest spy.
Yeah, super suave, smartly turned out.
Yeah, like
extremely capable.
A master at anything he turns his hands to.
Yeah.
Like it always makes you laugh. There's in the Hitman games, the joke is that basically like Agent 47 has whatever skill is required for whatever assassination you're on, to the point where there's one where you can replace a drummer. You can kill and replace a drummer and go in and be like a session drummer for a recording. And he's a perfect drummer. Like that's part of a kill. He's a like world-class masseuse.
Yeah, a chef, a hairdresser, whatever he needs.
And be good at the job. Like, to the point where people comment on how good he is and how they didn't expect they'd heard he was good, but they didn't expect him to produce such wonderful things.
And yeah, Lloyd very much fits that mold of the capable of anything super spy.
Yes, he has a drive to kind of ensure that his mission succeeds, not just because he's been ordered to, but because he cares for peace. He's a war orphan and wants to make sure there's no others like him in the future.
He's got a very strong moral undercurrent for a spy who quite happily, murders people when it seems necessary. But moving on to the second character that he gets is Anya Forger, his adoptive daughter.
The best character?
I think probably the best character. I mean,
At
absolutely
least,
the focal point for the comedy.
Yes, like she is the beating heart of the series.
Mm-hmm.
She's everything kind of revolves around her, because she is the weak point, like the weak point of the mission, and also kind of the strongest point in it as well. Like, if everything fails, it's it very well could be because of her, but also the reason why things often don't fail when unexpected circumstances happen is because of her. She is she's a 4-year-old pretending to be a 5-year-old.
To get into the school.
Who is so that Lloyd will adopt her from a criminally poorly run orphanage.
Yeah.
Even her introduction is just wonderful, where she convinces Lloyd that she's like a child genius by reading his mind when he's looking at a crossword and solving all of the clues in lightning fast time. And Lloyd and Anya have this fascinating relationship, but she is the character who knows everyone's secrets.
Yeah.
But doesn't have the life experience or knowledge outside of that. She doesn't have context to kind of put it together.
And the context she does have is through her favorite
cartoon, Bond Man,
who sets out that very happy-go-lucky, fun style of spymanship.
Yes.
So that's what she believes her adoptive father to be. But so much comedy comes from the fact that she knows the family secrets and they don't. And as you say, using that, she gets involved with spy schemes and genuinely helps out at times in unexpected ways. And she's just and it's her knowledge of stuff, when there's wonderful things when she does a drawing or something, and she and it contains what she thinks is secret knowledge that she couldn't possibly have, and will therefore show that
she knows that her father is a spy and her mother is an assassin, so she covers it up or draws over things, and then like you see what the drawing is, and it's basically just the most childish like squiggly lines and stuff, and like she's perfect.
Her sort of mispronunciation of words never failed to make me laugh.
Yeah, and often they're not even that funny, the mispronunciation, but because it's her, and when we talk about the anime, I think we're going to just get into the vocal performances.
Yeah.
Like, because they are so incredible. Shall we discuss the third character to join the family, Your Briar?
Yeah. Briar.
Briar Forger, aka the Thorn Princess.
The Thorn Princess, yeah. Incredibly rad character.
Oh, she rules.
So secretly an assassin for the Osteria government.
What the government seem like?
Well, they're called the Garden, aren't they? And how they kind of represent, but they seem to work in interests of Osteria rather than Westeros. Yours brother is a member of the SSS, an easily recognized naming convention for the secret police of Osteria.
Yeah.
But she is a incredibly deadly assassin, but who has sort of no knowledge or skills of what she considers normality in a sort of family setting.
Yes, like her and her parents also died in the war that sort of takes place maybe 20 something years before the start of the show.
Yeah.
And so she was responsible for raising herself and her brother, and kind of therefore took on this job at a young age, and never kind of built those skills that are required to kind of be the person that she sometimes kind of thinks she should be in order to be a mother to Anya and like a fake husband to Lloyd, a fake wife to Lloyd. Yeah, she has like a kind of naivete and lack of social boundaries, and
like she teaches Anya to fight, which leads to her punching one of the
most satisfying
a satisfying jaw thug in the world. But also she's specifically like an awful cook to the point of like poisoning people, and
which is like a kind of traditional shonen gag of like the incredible, beautiful woman who can't cook kind of thing. Like, but they do a bit more with that kind of as we go on with it. But there was a chapter that I'd forgotten until I reread it for discussing it with you. But the chapter where she's been shot on one of her missions.
Yeah.
And like Lloyd wants to take Lloyd notices like, oh no, she's acting really strange and distant and cold. This could threaten the mission if she like has figured something out, or is like onto something, or is unhappy with the situation. You know, if she's unhappy and leaves, then Anya won't be able to stay in the school. So he tries to do this like amazing date night that he's planned out, like 376 possible options for, that he can kind of flowchart. to keep her happy and show her everything, and she's just miserable the entire time because she can't sit down.
Yeah,
the entire time because she's got a bullet in the butt. And then gets given like a blowfish poison martini.
Yeah.
But because she works with poison all the time, it just acts as like some sort of incredibly powerful like muscle relaxant or like or painkiller. And she's like she's able to sit down again and enjoy the date. It's so sweet and nice and horrible and great.
But that's what I think it does. Its three-pronged attack, I think it does equally well.
Yes.
I think it's funny in lots of different ways. Both
so many.
Some quite immature and some, a bit cleverer.
Yes.
But plenty of slapstick, plenty of just Anya being Anya and being great. When it gets into its action flow, it doesn't skimp on any of the...
No, it's it's so gorgeous when it decides, and that's something that the anime really adds on to, but because what the manga does very, very well with the action scenes, even though they're quite limited, is impact.
Yeah.
And the build up to a blow being delivered, often through expressions, like facial expressions and stuff and the use of shadow. Yeah. And motion blur. Most of the best violence in the series is delivered by Yor.
Yeah, definitely.
She
kicks her way through her problems.
When she kicks, when we see her usually she just appears out of nowhere. Or we get a panel beforehand of her suddenly dashing in.
I like several panels that'll just be of her foot.
Yes.
And then the next panel will be her in full flight, kicking someone's head off or just soaring through the air.
Kicking someone literally into the ceiling.
Yeah.
So that they are dangling from a light fixing.
Yeah, you get lots of comedy from Yor as well, where sometimes she'll kick out or attack somebody almost in reaction. And
have to explain how and why. She's I did yoga, so I know about pressure points. So that's how I was able to two-punch knock out a bull.
And I think there are several chapters that have no action whatsoever. It's not the focal point. And I know I've got a little bit ahead of you in the series itself.
Just a little bit. Because I fell off for a while and wanted to let it kind of
build up.
Before the... So it was before the anime, I fell off for a little while. Because I was and I'll come back to 30 chapters. And I have, and it takes a lot longer to read 30 chapters than you remember.
Yeah. Well, the kind of arc that I've just come off pulls away from the main story and is probably the heaviest action-packed story. And it's very, very good.
Oh, Will, you've got me excited. But yeah, so Anya is I think we should talking about kind of how the characters kind of interact and what makes the character dynamics so intriguing. Because Anya is Anya's the key to the whole series, I think, because she is she's the reader, and not just in a reader insert way, because she has all of the knowledge that we do.
She's got
at any given time.
Yeah.
But she also encourages us to buy into the world because she is the reader insert and finds everything so cool.
Yeah.
And you go, oh yeah,
you can't.
That is cool.
Yeah, absolutely. But just follow her along.
You're just yes, that is cool. You're also oh no, secret police and stuff. No, that's bad. But then she's like, secret police. That must be that. I don't know exactly what that means, but if it's like a spy,
it must be cool.
That must be cool. And like, so the entire time, like the fact that she knows everything that's going on, and like the reader, a lot of the time, she doesn't want everyone there to find out about everyone else, because like there's that nagging bit where you do want them to find out, but you just like, no, because I want to see where this goes for now. I want them to build like, and she has the exact same kind of relationship with it, where it's like, no, like if they find out, then my family is probably over. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want Anya's family to be over. I like Anya's family. They're a great family. I want them to become a real family.
Eventually you want them to find out and accept each other, but you can't put the cat back in the
exactly
back in the bag.
And she is like just like it reminds me a little bit of like One Piece, in the sense like so there's a chapter as part of like a flashback in the sort of like in the 900 chapters, where you're seeing like a flashback kind of like the secret history of the sort of about 50 years ago, and well 25 years ago or something, it doesn't matter, but like where like the future Pirate King arrives on the last island of the Grand Line, and everyone there sees there's something there that they're all reading that makes them laugh, and so they name the island Laugh Tale, and say like how they wish they were alive at the same time as the person this story's about. And so the big theory is that what they're reading is literally the manga that we're reading. They're reading the story of One Piece, and it's like it's the characters kind of like laughing and showing happiness and joy at this thing that you're also enjoying, and that's Anya.
Yeah, just absolutely brings you into it. And I think, as you mentioned, she's the focal point that you see most of the story through. When Anya's at school, you follow Anya. You tend not to, you see less of Lloyd and Yor alone without Anya. And they do have their chapters that are specifically for them. But in general, Anya is your doorway to the story.
Yes. Like, and they are often like, there's great things about like Lloyd having to kind of subtle, like chapters where Lloyd has to like subtly influence Anya. So like we'll see Lloyd in the background in various disguises and stuff, doing little things. Like there's a chapter where he's trying to make her apologize to someone, and does things like writes on her omu rice. And sends her a message that she in a beam of light from a reflection, that she's like, is this a message from God? And stuff like it's and like Lloyd is such like Lloyd's kind of relationship with everyone is fascinating in the sense that like there are elements of your standard, like a spy's first duty is to never fall in love kind of thing to it. But it's fascinating watching it over such a more long form examination, where you are actually seeing these people and going, no, they're like actually very good for each other. They're all giving each other something that they need and getting it back on track, because Lloyd has so many walls and like has so like and is constantly trying to manipulate or drive people towards the thing that he wants, even though he often thinks it's the best thing for them as well.
Yeah.
But it's about like his journey seems to be kind of about is very much one of trust.
Yeah. I think that's right.
And of kind of coming to the realization that the harder that he's trying to drive, like he's trying to drive people the way that works for him and stuff, like the direct hard approach doesn't kind of work for these people, and having to learn, because they're very strange people.
Yeah.
Like he cannot, for the most part, manipulate Yor very well, because Yor, as I said before, is someone without the kind of normative
social construct.
yes, and things that like other people that he's used to kind of working with have constructed. Like she is kind of a psycho. Like she would very easily be a villain. If you just dialed her up a little bit more and made her a little bit less charmingly funny.
Yeah.
She would be like she literally licks knives at points in this.
She does. She really likes
and
killing.
gets like the demon face with sharp teeth.
But it's particularly good when she thinks Anya is being sort of bullied or hurt in some way, and she turns into like Mama Bear crossed with
when she's like one-handed punches through a pumpkin and splits it into like 8 parts.
Yeah, her ability to transform her violence into like usable skills is always excellent.
When she's learning to cook and cuts through the chopping board. Like everyone, they all give each other something they desperately need, and for Yor, like they all give each other they need in the storyline sense of like why they're going through with this like fake family situation. Yor is worried that being a single woman over a certain age will have her be like look suspicious to the secret police. You know, as I said, like Lloyd needs it for his mission, and Anya just needs a family. Like, but what Yor gets from it is kind of more just that it helps her have something to kind of put her in a more normal situation and develop outside of the only skills she really needs. Like she's learning a lot of things, and like how to, like, because she's a very kind person.
Yeah, well, I think the reason for her becoming Thorn Princess sort of isn't relevant anymore.
No, it's
and
like
she's now just indoctrinated into the system. But her brother's grown up and
successful,
individually wealthy. Yeah,
but
doesn't require her to keep bringing in the money. But
but she's this very kind person who does things out of like obligation, and then like you say, like by this point, like just indoctrination and stuff. But like she just she needs to kind of learn to learn some normality as well, like, and have something that shows her a different and kinder world than the one she's had to grow up in. And
And I think that's how the family dynamic evolves, is that what begins for Lloyd as having this kind of pair of assets to help him do his mission,
Yes.
it slowly becomes more important to him that they're safe and that they're doing well. And
Yeah.
of course, at the back of his mind, it's always pro the mission.
Justified.
But more and more those excuses become less and less about the mission.
Yes.
And more about the family as individuals. And for Yor, she clearly cares about Anya and wants to do everything she can to be the best possible mother.
Yor, despite the whole fake situation, because Yor believes that Anya is Lloyd's biological daughter from a first marriage.
That's right.
And like his wife like died, he's widowed. And stuff and she immediately kind of attaches to Anya in a way that like Lloyd doesn't like. He cares for her and doesn't want her to kind of go back to to her terrible situation, but is also more prepared for and initially to move on.
Yes, definitely.
Whereas like I can't see Yor doing that to Anya, like in the sense of like other than maybe to like protect her in some way, but but Yor's the sort of person who would believe that she was safest with her.
Yeah. But that's it. I think Yor as absolutely like buried into the role.
Yes, like and
from Anya's perspective, because she is telepathic, sort of doesn't need to evolve in the same way. She already knows what's going on. She wants to be part of the family. She likes both of her adoptive parents.
She just needs to learn more about the world. Yeah, outside of kind of that.
Naive.
More than just her kind of telepathic powers, because like she's some sort of she's the result, her powers are the result of some sort of scientific experiment, and she seems to have been kind of raised in a very abusive situation, like, and for the first few years of her life. So she has this weird relationship with her powers as well, like the kind of being in this situation where she believes now that her powers can save the world gives her like an excuse to use them and feel good about it.
Yeah.
Like she's, that's what she gets from it, as well as like the ability to grow. She gets the ability. She's given carte blanche to feel good about herself.
Yeah. And so she should.
She should. She's a precious cinnamon roll. I love her little horn hat things.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still waiting to reveal what's under there.
Like antennae.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's the sort of the dynamic of the main family. And as we've mentioned, Yor has a brother in the SSS who's constantly causing troubles by perhaps nearly finding out about Lloyd, and he's Lloyd, so jealous of his sister.
Yeah.
But he already hates Lloyd automatically.
And Lloyd has like his only real friend who's like his information broker, kind of fixer, named Frankie, who has the most wonderful kind of like egging each other on relationship with Anya. Where he's often kind of like her babysitter and stuff, not by choice. And then Anya convinces him to go along with some silly plan, or Frankie like thinks it'll be funny to make her like make Lloyd do something and stuff. Like Frankie is just a perfect like guy who's too old for you to call him a little shit, but he is such a little shit.
And he's a good foil to the straight man that is Lloyd.
Yes. Like he knows and understands Lloyd, and is like one of the people, like one of like two people in the series who can kind of talk to Lloyd as both Lloyd Forger and as like Twilight. He might be the only one who can talk to him as both. Like the other one who we have who can talk to him as like Twilight is his handler, who is like the classiest lady on the planet, wears like the best clothes, wears a big like Carmen Sandiego hat, and she's the best.
I mean, that's a point I was probably going to say for the art bit, but everybody's clothes in this are
they're just, the fits are immaculate, and it's this like amazing combination of like 60s and like modern styles, like where like there are some dresses and stuff you look at in it and you're like, I would not be surprised if I saw that today, or if I looked back and saw something incredibly similar in like a fashion magazine from like the late 50s, like to the like all through the 60s. And like one of my favorite things clothing wise in the series is the Eden Academy school uniforms, because they have this wonderful, almost like Byzantine, like Greek Orthodox sort of look to them. This kind of like, I don't know why I was about to pull up a photo as if everyone
on an audio medium that's
could see it, but like it has this like gold banding along all of the cuffs, with like layered arches, and it's and like the hat has the similar has a similar kind of effect along the edges as well. I look at it and I just immediately kind of think of a Greek Orthodox church for some reason.
Fair enough. I just think really, as you've mentioned, the fashion is
it's
killer.
Like,
it's not something I usually kind of concern myself too much with, but everything looks so good. Most of yours outfits,
yours like
great.
I love yours coat, like what she wears with
central buttoned,
kind of puffy, kind of fleecy, that she wears with like a shortish like skirt with like leggings and stuff. Like it's all so kind of like I could just see someone wearing it now and I would be like, you are the coolest looking person I've ever seen. And I could also see like I say, like be looking back at a fashion magazine and also saying, wow, you are the coolest looking person I've ever seen, and be right at each like whenever they were wearing it. And like Lloyd's kind of very much more stiff look than all the others were, with his like immaculate suits each time. And like talking to the clothing, there's that really good gag when they're going for the interviews for Eden Academy, where there's like they're all of the candidates and their parents are being observed, and there's various traps and stuff set up, and so they like doing things like trying to ruin applicants' clothes and stuff to see if they would dare to kind of show up in dirty clothes to it. So like Lloyd has 2 changes
backup
of clothes for everyone in the family, and they're like, the outfits are all different enough, like especially kind of the last one where he's wearing like a top hat and like tails
Yeah, but they're not just sort of. I know it's black and white, but like palette swap. They're not just.
No, there's
copy and
always
paste.
something slightly different about the cut.
Mhm.
And I love like when you see the color spreads and stuff and like the covers, and you kind of actually see the color schemes for the characters, and like Lloyd's like light greens and like powder blues that his suits come in, and stuff like it's and his hats and stuff all matching colors, and like the art though in general is just like the biggest like strength for the art in my opinion is probably like character design and the incredible facial expressions, like, and so many like the facial expressions are brilliant in one of two ways. Usually they are either the most incredibly detailed, like berserk level of like you're gritting her teeth and like her face like veins and like white, sheer white eyes, like, you know, like Guts donning like the berserker armor and swinging the dragon slayer, and you're just like, oh, this is the greatest like panel I've ever seen. Or they are literally like the original version of like One Piece, not One Piece, I meant to say One Punch Man, where One was drawing it, and like Anya is there with just the shit-eatingest grin on her face, and like so much of the kind of extra kind of complications and shading and like lines and stuff that go into like drawing faces and stuff disappears so that you can just make her look as smug as possible and remove everything that detracts from that smugness.
Yeah, and I think she's got the most sort of traditional anime eyes, where they're massive and can
big
go
and
from
shiny.
From being detailed, where you get the full kind of iris and everything, to just being two pinpricks in a huge white space.
Yeah.
Again, just add to her like complete expressiveness. But no, you're absolutely spot on, and I think both the combination of like the accuracy followed by the cartooniness of the
contrast there, like, and knowing that like, and it can do like both extremes so well, like, is absolutely it's mind-blowingly funny to me. Like, I like it's and I just think it's also like it's that balance, the way it's able to kind of shift its tone as well, like quite regularly, like the present, like the presence of like the fact that like we are dealing with like there's regular talk of war and like chemical weapons and like biological like bioweapons and stuff, and like nuclear threats and stuff, but like then at the same time, like the opening mission that we see Lloyd kind of coming off of is having to destroy some photos of like a vice prime minister who has a bad toupee and stuff like that. Like it's diplomatic. And that like these various things, and then like there's things about like using like dogs as bombs and stuff, which is like, oh no, that's really horrible. And then you just see like and like Anya's there being threatened with a knife and everything, and it's like, oh no. But then just something ridiculous happens, and it doesn't damage you taking the actual situation seriously, but it does at the same time make you kind of, it makes those bleaker moments still like it's never going to be as bleak. Like, I was going to reference like why Puck the fairy exists in Berserk, which is that, and like Puck literally kind of says this at one point, like, which is, if I wasn't here in the manga, this would be too sad and too horrible. Like, and that's not quite the same thing here, but like, it disarms those like incredibly bad situations where, like I say, like a child is being threatened with being murdered and stuff, and a child that you really love, and a whole bunch of nice dogs.
The thing that my experience of reading manga is limited.
Yeah.
But what it reminded me of was Assassination Classroom.
Yes.
I don't know if you've
I read a little bit
or any of it. I think this is better. I'll just put those
Yes.
back. I think this is more successful doing a sort of similar thing. But that's a book which is sort of ostensibly a comedy, but where the threat is world destruction and there's kind of a ticking clock. And
yeah,
I think what this does, Spy X Family does very well, is selling both of those aspects.
Sorry, what? Spike's Family.
Spike, yes. Spike's Family. It sells both of its threat and its comedy are equally as effective, which I think is a real feat.
Yeah, and even though that we know that like we've got these superhuman badasses there all the time, like we also know that they're like they have things that they can't do.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are things that they can't do, like maybe because there's like something about the situation which limits their ability to use their abilities.
Yes.
But yeah, like, can I talk to you for a moment about your Lord and Savior, the Spy X Family anime?
Oh, please do. I'll let you in.
So, in preparation, I think, how many episodes have you watched now?
7, I think.
Okay. So, you've watched enough then to kind of see, to kind of have gotten a sense for, like, the changes that the anime made, which are all really good.
Yeah, they're often quite subtle as well. They're not.
Some of it's like
sweeping changes.
Some of it's like in the ordering of episodes. Like it runs in like a slightly different order. Some things take place later than they do in the manga. Some things take place a little earlier, and some of that actually works really well with the seasonal format. Like I think the final episode, of the anime is a kind of surprise when you go back to reading the manga after not having read it in a while and start from the beginning again. You kind of you've forgotten the order because with because there's an episode that's the last episode of the season and fairly early chapter in the manga where it's about Lloyd is just exhausted from all of the missions and stuff he's been having to do and managing to maintain the family and stuff alongside Operation Strix. And they end up going to the aquarium for the day. And and at the end of a season, that episode about Lloyd just being a broken mess of just oh my God, I've done so many things and I'm having to do all this still. It works so well as a season ender that it makes perfect sense to move it. And the additions that they add generally wouldn't work in the manga. They take up too much space and they'd make a chapter kind of run too long, and you can fill in some instances those things. Say for example, my favorite addition that the anime does is There in after Anya passes like the entrance exams and interviews and stuff, she's allowed like a treat from Lloyd, and like Lloyd asks her what she'd like if she could have anything right now, and she's watching an episode of Bon Man, and in it like Bon Man's love interest, like Princess Honey, has been kidnapped by like an evil prince or something, or like to a castle, and she says like, I want to be rescued, I want to be a princess and be rescued, and stuff, and like Frankie keeps kind of egging her on, and like and like
Threatens
talking
not to go to the school.
for Anya's, talking for Anya, and is like, Daddy, I won't go to the school, like in his fake Anya voice and stuff, like, and encouraging Anya to just play up more and more, and almost makes her cry.
Yeah, just keep pushing.
And like in the manga, they go and they rent out this castle on like the kind of periphery of Ostinia, and like it's 2 or 3 pages of them there. Like they call in some people to come and be like nobles and stuff, and then like Yor is incredibly drunk and starts like, and is convinced that she has to protect Anya from like Bondman Lloyd, and like is drunk and like breaks a heel on her shoe and just falls asleep when she hits the floor. Like she just curls up and falls asleep, and like he rescues her. What they do in the anime is so good. They like the castle in the anime is also like it's either a decommissioned or like about to open, like it's in the process of construction, like theme park at this old castle. And so they have a whole setup where like the people that get called in, who are also members of like Twilight, like Lloyd's spy organization, are called in like to be goons for Frankie,
to fill in.
Who is like playing like the villain, and they use all of the cool kind of gimmicks of a theme park to have like action set pieces where like dozens of like these goons and stuff are attacking Lloyd and trying to prevent him from getting to rescue Princess Anya, and like are all just believing that this is part of Operation Strix and are honored to be like helping Twilight with this and
see him in action. And
it's one of the most gorgeous episodes of the series. Like the range of colors and everything that are shown in it, like, and it's so colorful and bright and like uses everything it can think of. And like most of the additions are kind of like this. They add flavor and stuff, like whether it just be like seeing more of like a training sequence that Yor gives Anya before a dodgeball game and stuff, like, so that you can kind of see what you're kind of expecting when Anya goes to do her killer move at the end, after we've seen Yor teach her, and we're like, oh shit, has she learned everything? And it's like, because in the manga it's like a single panel thought bubble of just like of Yor saying how like how you just need to move your body in a certain way, and like the anime just goes like, no, we know that Yor is a superhuman badass. Let's see her try and explain this to Anya, and get some bonding as well. Like it's so nice. It's all just flavor. It's
Mhm.
yes, it's filler, but it's the best kind of filler.
Yeah.
It's the filler that adds depth.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like the just the extra additions of
Yeah, like
the family bondings, and they don't feel superfluous. I mean, as you mentioned with the castle rescue scene,
oh,
it's such a big set piece. It would be a shame not to expand upon that when you're doing it under animation and you're getting those movements, and
yeah,
they are different mediums. And I think a lot of
exactly. Like, and it's
a lot of
remembering that
manga,
and knowing that you can do.
they have different strengths, and I think a lot of manga sometimes is translated one to one. I mean, I know we did in the on the podcast a while ago, The Way of the House Husband.
Yes.
And the anime of that is very disappointing.
Yeah.
Because it's essentially like a slideshow of just the panels, a bit of voiceover, and kind of the smallest amount of animation. And I feel that is forgetting that they are two mediums. That's treating them as one thing.
Also, amazing music. And
yeah.
voice performances. Like everyone sounds just perfect. Like, just to credit the animation for a second, like it was done by like Wit Studio and Cloverworks, both of whom are fairly heavy hitters. Like Clover in particular, and like Wit has done some pretty good stuff recently. Like, yeah, so like, yeah, but the music and like the opening and ending sequences, like I was struggling every week not to just dance along with them. Like, I'd be on a video call with my partner and we'd both just occasionally, you'd see us look down at the webcam just to see like the webcam footage, just to see if the other one had started boogieing along yet. Oh,
but yeah, like, it's fantastic.
This is one of these, like, hey, remember, Matt and Will like wholesome things as well. We like sweet and wholesome and kind things.
I think I mentioned it in a previous podcast, but the two things I like are misery and whimsy.
Yes.
And they contrast, but they also complement each other.
Yes. And unless you've got anything super important left to say, I think that's like, I could go on for hours, but
absolutely. But I think without getting into more spoilery territory, I think we've covered a good chunk of everything. I mean, I'd be slightly remiss not to mention Bond at all.
Oh, Bond, he's a good boy.
The family dog, the bestest boy, and also a precog as well.
Yes. Oh, yes. He's and Anya. So therefore, now adding yet another power to Anya's growing list through the medium of a psychic dog, she can now see the future sometimes. Oh, I love Bond.
Yeah.
I love that. Like, when the Anya's asked what breed is he, and she says a big white one. Like, and he's got the little booties. He's got a little
bow tie. He's got he's a great addition to the family.
Yeah,
comedy, but also his visions increase further tension because he'll see something that he can't explain to the family. And also, he's clearly got more intelligence than your average dog. He's very conscientious, and he will try and if he sees somebody.
Murders Penguin.
Well, yes.
Well,
nobody's perfect.
He murders Penguin Man.
But yeah, other than just getting the Bond mention in, I think I've hit everything I wanted to say today. I
think this kind of gets the wholehearted like recommendation from both of us.
I hope so.
Like, I'm sure no one needs to really hate Spy X Family, Spy X Family, Spy Times Family, Spy Cross Family.
Spy is the power of family.
Yeah. Well, yes. Like, is good. Like, you've been hearing it for the better part of like 7 or 8 months minimum. Longer if you listen, if you keep up with like the manga. But
wait, Is it the X-Men format? Is it Spy
Oh.
10 family?
Oh yeah, Spy 10 Family of Swords.
Oh, I think we've cracked it. I think that's
Yeah.
definitely the answer.
Yeah, House of Spy, Power of Family. Yeah, wait until Hickman does his run on it.
Very subversive.
Yeah, go out and read it. Like, the anime and the manga are both great in their own regards, but it's the rare situation of like, watch them, do them both, like,
Yeah.
and you won't regret it. Like,
And it's accessible as well. I mean, I
it's
think there are currently 7 volumes out, and
yeah, it's what,
technically 7 chapters, but some of those chapters are just a single image, for instance, where he'll
Yeah.
draw a cover, or
like
some are
a
7
5-pager.
Yeah, 5 to 7 page kind of gag. So it's not as long as a 67 chapters suggests. I read it through the Shonen Jump app.
Same, really solid app. It's all up on there.
Inexpensive.
It's like £2 a month. And it's definitely worth it, especially if, like us, you already have like thousands of trade paperbacks and manga volumes taking up your shelves.
Yeah, and a huge amount of the most popular anime.
There's
come from the
and manga.
show.
It's
Previously
it's not got
discussed
it's not
Chainsaw
got
Man.
everything you want from Shonen Jump on there. Like, I'm still pretty miffed that like you can't just read Hunter x Hunter on there. Like, so when I'm interested to see if when the new chapters finally come out after the last few years of hiatus, if they're going to be on there, because like the only way to read Hunter x Hunter on the Shonen app is to buy the volumes,
By the individual volumes,
which is so strange when that's very rare on there for everything else. Like, I won't say to take to the high seas, but it's one of the only easy options to kind of read it, because they want you to pay full volume price.
Yeah, or go to your local comic shop.
Or go to your local comic shop and get this.
They've got it stocked in.
Yes, but yeah, new chapters of Hunter x Hunter soon, and I'm very excited. I'm okay to talk about that right now because it's also got an X in it.
It's relevant.
Yeah, so thank you, Will.
Thank you, Matt, and thanks for joining us, strangers of the internet.
Bigger than X capes. Bigger X than capes.
X capes X.
Well,
we are bigger than capes, and
we will continue to be so.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Laters.